This is my third and final video on China, specifically on the People's Liberation Army. In my first video, I explained how PLA against India can operate in the war zone, which is whole of nation, and how it has huge non-kinetic capabilities to bring the civil life in the whole of nation of India to a standstill. In the second video, I explained how because of this 5-year standoff on the line of actual control, the PLA has gained two major operational advantages. The first one is for its war plan. In real time, the PLA knows everything that is required to be known of the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force. Nothing is hidden. Their employment, their deployments, their capabilities, their habitat, their training, their logistics, everything is known. No surprises here. And the second is, because of all this information, it has been put in data sets. And in the Western Theatre Command, the PLA has been able to bring artificial intelligence autonomy into its weapon systems as well as machines, including humanoid robots. So in today's video, I'll give a glimpse of what an India-China war will look like. Now we know that of the 5 integrated theatre commands that the PLA has, the Western Theatre Command pitted against India is by far the largest. And it has the maximum ground forces, the PLA army in it. Now a question that comes up repeatedly is, why do I talk all this war things, that China will not go to war with India? Well, it is not about China going to war or not going to war with India. It is about something entirely different. And the issue here is that Indian military should know the capabilities of China, what sort of a war will the PLA play out, because that will help in creating a deterrence against it. And why deterrence is important is, we saw in April 2020, there was no deterrence, which is why the PLA came and occupied large chunks of Indian territory without giving a thought. So this is the reason we need to understand all that, create a deterrence. Now, the bad news is, India-China war will not be limited to one front. It will actually be 4 fronts which will open up simultaneously. One, of course, is the India-China front, which I'll talk about in a while. The second is Pakistan. Pakistan certainly will get in the game, and what Pakistan can do, we got a glimpse of it in Operation Sindoor. It will be a one-front reinforced war where the PLA will help the Pakistan military with all its capabilities without showing its hand. The third front will be a combined operation. A combined operation done between the Xinjiang military division PLA there and the Pakistan military. And the Pakistan military would be looking at the Siachen theatre, whereas the PLA of the Xinjiang military division, it will be looking at Ladakh, which they claim. When I say combined operation, that means the forces, the services of the two militaries will operate together. And we should know that since 2021, it is for this reason that the teams of the Pakistan military have been embedded in the headquarters of the Xinjiang military division and its higher headquarters, the Western Theatre Command, based in Chengdu. So this is the fourth front. The fifth front, of course, is Kashmir. Now let's talk of India-China front. I fail to understand that despite this 5-year standoff, why is it that the Indian military leadership has got two fundamental things, operationally very important, about the PLA completely wrong? The first one is, I repeatedly hear the Indian generals saying that it will be a border war with China. It will not be so. China will not fight a border war with India. China has repeatedly said that it is not about border, it is about sovereignty. So China will fight a decisive campaign for sovereignty. What that means is that whatever they are claiming, they'll get it back if they fight. And China claims the entire state of Arunachal Pradesh and the Ladakh Union Territory. It will fight only for this. As far as the border is concerned, for the PLA, the grey zone operations are good enough there, that it does against the Indian military, nothing more than that. So let's get this one correct. And the second is, I can't understand why the Indian military is preparing for an entirely wrong war. The Indian military, it believes, for example, the Indian Air Force thinks that like the Pakistan Air Force, the IF will fight one-on-one with the PLA Air Force. It will not happen. And the Indian Army thinks that it will fight with the PLA Army. It will not happen. Because the PLA will not fight at this low level. PLA today has the capability to fight in 6 domains of war, which are physical and virtual domains: the land, air, sea, cyber, space and electromagnetic spectrum. And as I've explained in my last video, their war concept, which of course we will see in the Western Theatre Command, is what is called the Joint Integrated Operations. So the PLA will fight at an entirely different level, at a much higher level. It will fight as a whole. It will not fight as PLAF, or it will not fight as Pakistan, PLA army. So it will fight as a whole, it will fight an integrated joint operations, and the Indian military leadership should know that this joint integrated operations is a very flexible concept, war concept, than the concept of joint force that the Americans fight with, or the Europeans fight with, or what the Indians want to do that. Why I say it is flexible is because it can do two things instead of one. The PLA in the integrated theatre commands, for example, the Western Theatre Command, it trains first of all as individual services. So it is the PLA Army, the PLA Air Force, the PLA Navy, and the PLA Rocket Force. And then the integrated commander decides that what is the mission, the objectives that it has, and specific to the mission, a package is put together. And then they fight, and then they train as a package, and that is called mission set. And given the fact that in the Western Theatre Command, the integrated commander knows everything about the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force, it can make mission sets, train as a mission set beforehand, knowing fully well there will be no operation surprises. So that is one. And the second, the flexibility is that they can then also fight independent wars, which is 5 types of wars. A missile war, an invisible war. An invisible war is about electronic warfare and cyber, space war, drone war, and an air war. And in the air war, they can fight 2 wars. The PLAF fights till the altitude of 20 kilometers, and after that, the aerospace force takes over, is able to fight in the near space and the outer space. And as far as the ground battlefield is concerned, there will be no contact line, there will be no rear, there will be no front. It will all be one battlefield. And there what we will see is CABs, Combined Arms Brigade of the PLA, and most of them either will be a mix of human and machines, or they will be machines controlled, as I said in my last video, in the configuration of human machine collaboration, which is human command and robot control. That is something that we will see. Now, a lot of people tell me that, look, PLA's biggest drawback is it doesn't have war experience. Well, no military in the world today has a war experience in fighting in 6 domains, where the virtual and the physical domains are integrated, and fighting with AI in various degrees of autonomy injected into their platforms and in their systems. So it is a first for everybody. So this fight that I am talking about will be where everything will be about ideas, imagination, computing power, data sets, human talent. And the Chinese have enough, and they have done enough practice also here. Now, the next question is, what will be the likely objectives of the PLA in case of a war with the Indian military? Well, I can suggest something here. That the PLA would be looking at, in the first wave, 2 things together. It will be looking at complete domination of the sky, and it will be looking at controlling the information in and out of the battlefield space. What that means is just finish off the communications of the Indian military at various levels, blind them completely. And this it can do with 6 capabilities in the first wave itself. For example, the first capability is that the main offensive of the PLA against the Indian military will not be PLAF, will be a rocket force. A rocket force which will see to it in a preemptive strike that the majority of Indian Air Force assets, their fighter jets, they stay grounded only, they don't take off. And they will be targeting there in the Indian Air Force bases, their ammunition dumps and their fuel points, to make sure that if the runways are repaired, the aircraft still don't take off. And of course, other things which I have explained earlier also in my video. So this will be the first main offense capability. Second will be their aerospace force, which I said operates between 20 kilometers and 100 kilometers, where they have their hypersonic glide vehicles, hypersonic cruise missiles, and they'll have their airships, and they'll have their high altitude drones. The third is cyber. See, it's no secret that in all the electronics that the Indian military has, India does not make semiconductors or ICs, integrated circuits. Everything is imported. And all those supply chains, somewhere they finally go to China. So China will have a huge role in cyber war against India in the military field. Next is electronic warfare. It's formidable. And the Americans say that also. It is advanced. It has artificial intelligence in it. It is what is called cognitive electronic warfare, or somewhere close to that. Then they have huge space capabilities. Then they have what is called the integrated air and missile defense firewall, which is what they call their counter intervention strategy. Then, most important, for the first time, we will see the lethal autonomous weapons in a war field, in a battlefield. Now, what is lethal autonomous weapons? You see, when the autonomy will come, it will come to the maximum degree in missiles. And what will happen is, when we talk of lethal autonomous weapons, which is colloquially also called the killer robots, that the commander will give the order to the missile, or maybe 2 or 3 missiles are fired simultaneously and said that, all right, your target is the Indian S-400 or it is the BrahMos. Then the missile takes a life of its own. Then the missile decides how and from which angle to do the maximum destruction or whatever task is given. So this is what is called lethal autonomous weapons. So these are the capabilities that we will see, and as a consequence of that, rest be assured, given the capabilities of the Indian military as of today, in 48 hours, in my assessment, the communications will be jammed completely of the Indian military. The satellites will be destroyed or displaced. The Indian Air Force will be blinded. See, I'm giving a real picture, and this is my estimation of that. And the ALGs, the advanced landing grounds and the airfields which are there close to the border, they will be taken over by the PLA army. This is what we are looking at. And the second wave, of course, will be their PLAF, which is their bombers and the 4th and 5th generation aircraft and the drones of all types. So this is the 2 waves will come to accomplish this objective. And once this objective is done, then what happens? As far as the ground force is concerned, the Indian Army is concerned, it will have no protection on the skies for it. And that is where the PLAF can again come for the Indian Army. The Indian Army forces, then they have their drones, they have the swarm drones. And you see, as I said, there will be nothing as the front and the rear of the battlefield. And what they will do is not carpet bombing, but precision bombing of all the places across the entire battle space. This is what will happen. And we will also see what I said, the cabs, we will see these humanoid robots also there. And once they have done this whole thing, next of course will be to bring in the vertical envelopment and do it with their the special forces, their heliborne forces, their aviation forces, their air aviation brigades, and that is something close to 1.5 to 2 lakh forces. They can just do the vertical envelopment and come and occupy the whole space. Now, what will happen is that Indian troops are there in their defensive. Their communications will be cut, but they are brave, they will fight. But the problem is that the PLA could use their thermobaric bombs, which suck the air from the bunkers, forcing the soldiers to come out in the open. Then they have their microwave weapons. And once the soldiers are out in the open, they have what is called slaughter bots. They have the mini drones, and they have shown this, they have displayed that. What that means is they have facial recognition, which is artificial intelligence. When we talk of a slaughter bot or a mini drone, what we are talking about is a very small, it's a mini, but it has about 5 grams of the TNT. And it has facial recognition, it will recognize the Indian soldiers, and it will come and hit in their forehead. So the normal thing what is said in the army is ek jawan, 1 soldier, 1 bullet. Ek enemy or ek bullet. It will actually be 1 mini drone to 1 Indian soldier. See, this is all real. And along with that, they will unleash their information war. Information war where the Indian soldiers doing all this will not look good to the world. So this is the real thing. So there is no reason for China to go to war with India. I can think of still one reason, which is about the Dalai Lama. So Indian government, the Modi government, will be well advised not to provoke the Chinese unnecessarily on the Dalai Lama. But I have seen the last time also in case of Pahalgam that the Modi government does something which goes against the logic. I did my videos there before when the Pahalgam happened, massacre, which was unfortunate, and I said that the Indians will not use their air force, but it was used. And what happened after that? What results came? The results came that the world saw for the first time that the Pakistan military was actually a peer competitor of the Indian military. And because of that, the profile of General Asim Munif rose. And because of that, the geopolitical status of Pakistan went up. So it was a wrong move to have done Operation Sindoor, and of course plenty else happened in Operation Sindoor. So what I am saying is that China is a formidable enemy. India is in South Asia. India, there are ways to have peace in the region, and that is what India should look at, and then understand the capabilities of the PLA and develop own deterrence against it. Thank you so much.